who has
They
been,
boil the milk first.
who
They
has
boil the milk
no.
first.
If you ask any person in the village who has,
This is actually milk, which is
let
quite
me-
funny.
when it says that pure milk is being produced, it is talking about that. Look at your digestive system, how unpleasant it is to look at, how unpleasant the digestive system is to look at, and when the milk comes out, look how pure it is as compared to that. So it's
But-
talking in very simplistic terms. What you people do is that you people like to have this scientific language. Why didn't Prophet Muhammad say E equaled MC squared? Why didn't he use this kind of language?
That's not at all what I'm saying.
Yeah, he will use.
That's not at all what I'm saying, man. What I'm saying is that where Allah says
you are
a
unaware-
biological statement,
you are
but that is wrong. He's wrong.
You are unaware about what is called by many scholars now about what is trajectory hermeneutics, that you have to use that language which was understandable by all the people. This is called trajectory hermeneutics, and this is being widely accepted by multiple scholars in both Christianity and Muslims, that Prophet Muhammad used that language which was acceptable at that time.
لا إكراه في الدين قد تبين الرشد من الغي.
Example. Give me an example.
Okay, sure. So let's start with something like a scientific error. If you go to Surah 67, verse 5, in fact, could you put it on your screen, please? In fact, hold on. I actually have a better one. I have one I prefer. I have one that I really, really like.
Yep. Go ahead.
Okay, go to 6, please.
Which surah?
Surah 86.
Okay.
And please share screen. Please share the screen.
No, you can just read it. I think it's a very short verse, right? Which
Or
verse?
just read verse 5 to 7 out loud, please.
Yeah. Let people then consider what they were created from. They were created from a spurting fluid stemming from between the backbone and the rib cage. Surely he is fully capable of bringing them back to life. Yeah. What's wrong with that?
Okay. So my question to you is that, where do you think semen comes from?
But how do you know it's referring to semen?
So gushing fluid, number one, from which man is made. So a reproductive fluid.
What does the verse number 5 say?
Let man observe from what he is created. And then it goes, he is created from a gushing fluid. Hold on. He's created from a gushing fluid proceeding from between the backbone and the ribs. But there's no such fluid from which man is made. There's none, biologically speaking.
So you are claiming, firstly, you are claiming that between the backbone and the ribs, semen is not located between the backbone and the ribs, right?
It's not.
Yeah. So, by the way, this is a language thing. Firstly, this is a language thing. Some Muslims claim.
It always is, isn't it?
No, let me give two explanations. Some Muslims claim that if you take ribs as the frontal part and the backbone as the previous part, then everything can be put inside this. But let's just let's just give you that argument. Let's just you are right. You are right.
Could I say
you are right. You are right. You are right. It is not between the backbone and let's just give you this argument, right? But
could I say something very quickly?
What about the other interpretation? The verse 5 says.
Could I please just respond to what you were saying?
Yeah, let me just complete. Let me just complete the argument. There's the other interpretation as well. I have seen all these arguments about this, right? So the best argument is that the verse 5 says, "Let man consider." Let man consider. So verse 6 says that they were created from spurting fluid or semen, right? So stemming from between the backbone and the rib cage, how can you not say that it is referring to man in the verse 5, right? Because if you read the entire sentence together, let man consider what he has been created from, created from a spurting fluid stemming from between the backbone. This verse 7 is talking about man, not fluid. This is also another very interpretation given by many scholars.
So the baby, are you talking about the baby?
Yep. In the placenta, which is between the backbone and the ribs.
Okay. Could I respond to that? Can I say two things in response to that?
Okay.
Okay, so first of all, with regards to you saying, oh, maybe it's not between the backbone and the ribs. This is my ribs. They start here. Semen is made here, my friend. So no, semen does not come from between the backbone and the ribs. Second of all, with regards to the baby is in the placenta, which is located in the amniotic sac. Do you know where the amniotic sac is located? Not between the backbone and the rib cage. It's underneath the rib cage in the abdominal cavity. That's biological. It's not between the backbone and the ribs. It's underneath it. So whichever way you look at it, it's still not between the backbone and the ribs. Anatomical
By the way,
features from anatomic sites.
let's also, ask you about this. If in those times, what language should he have used?
Muhammad.
Yeah, to explain this.
Okay, he could have said below the bladder. He could have said above the legs. But to say between the backbone and the ribs is directly lying, because it's not between the backbone and the ribs. And two things, another thing. Hold on. This is, hold on, just give me a second, please.
Yeah.
Please let me finish. Keep in mind, we've already argued that even if it is the baby being mentioned, you're still wrong. But it's not the baby, because the verse expressly says, created from a gushing fluid proceeding the backbone and the ribs. Keep in mind, it says that the fluid is what proceeds from between the backbone and the ribs. A baby is not a fluid. Semen is a fluid. And semen, baby is not a fluid. A baby is a solid object. Semen is the fluid that is released. And it does not come from between the backbone or the ribs, neither does the baby. So that's an example of what we call a scientific error.
And you can see
it's right below the rib cage.
Yeah.
You see at 38, it's right below, not between.
In what language did you expect Prophet Muhammad to speak about? In what language? You said below the bladder. You said between the legs. Do you know what kind of social connotations is attached? It is ethically not right language to use. He used the best language between backbone and ribs. No social problem with that, right? If you say below.
Okay, but you claim that the Quran is the perfect word of God. But where Allah says that it comes from between the backbone and the ribs, and scientifically it does not come from between the backbone and the ribs, that's wrong. Not to mention the fact that it's also speaking about the fluid. It says the fluid proceeds from between the backbone and the ribs.
No,
but neither the fluid, neither the fluid or the baby proceeds from between the backbone and the ribs. Thanks for acknowledging that, by the way.
The second
Could you please put on Surah 16 verse 66 for me? Well, I can do it for you if you want.
Yeah, I'm just checking it first.
Okay, Surah 16 verse 66.
By the way, in 3 minutes this will end, so you have to join again if you like.
Okay. Okay, I'll try to see if I can share as well.
By the way, when you look at
Can I share my screen, please?
Yeah.
Okay. Just tell me if you can see what I'm putting forth. Can you see?
Yep.
Okay. So please read that out loud for me.
So and there's certainly a lesson for you in the cattle. We give you to drink of what is in their bellies from between digested food and blood, pure milk, pleasant to drink.
Okay. So there's two things I want to say in response to that, because there's actually two errors in this verse, not one. It says that the location of milk, where milk comes from, is in their bellies from between digested food and, can you hear me?
Location of what?
Okay. Milk, basically where milk is coming from. We give you to drink of what is in their bellies, pure milk. So it says it's from their bellies, from between digested food and blood. So the first scientific error is that that's not where milk is produced. Milk is produced in the udders, not from their bellies between digested food and blood. And the second error is that milk that comes directly from a cow, is not pleasant to drink. It's actually contaminated. If you drink directly from a cow, you will get sick because of all the contaminants. It's not pleasant to drink. It has to be purified. So the two errors is the location of milk production, which the Quran gets wrong. It is the udders. And then this next one is that pure milk pleasant to drink, which is not true because it would make you sick, not pleasant to drink. So there's two big errors in this verse directly.
To what audience is this verse referring to? It's referring to Quranic language is not just for 21st century people. It's for people of all time. When it says that pure milk is being produced, it is talking about that. Look at your digestive system, how unpleasant it is to look at, how unpleasant the digestive system is to look at. And when the milk comes out, look how pure it is as compared to that. So it's
But-
talking in very simplistic terms. What you people do is that you people like to have this scientific language. Why didn't Prophet Muhammad say E equal MC square? Why didn't he use this kind of language?
That's not at all what I'm saying.
Yeah, he will use.
That's not at all what I'm saying, Mads. What I'm
yeah.
saying is that
You are-
where Allah says
you are
a
unaware-
biological
you are
statement,
you are
but that
unaware,
is wrong, he's wrong.
you are unaware about what is called by many scholars now about what is trajectory hermeneutics, that you have to use that language which was understandable by all the people. This is called trajectory hermeneutics, and this is being widely accepted by multiple scholars in both Christianity and Muslims, that Prophet Muhammad used that language which was acceptable at that time. So what language do you
Okay, so
yeah
can I respond to you, please?
the
This isn't about language. Hold
Yeah,
on, please let me respond.
yeah the milk
Please let me
product-
respond. Please let me respond. This isn't about language. This is about the fact that Allah is making a statement about cattle, namely that they get the milk is from their bellies, from between digested food and blood. And second of all, that the milk is pleasant to drink. Neither one of those is true. So it's not about language. It's about the fact that Allah is making two scientific mistakes in one verse.
By the way, before it reaches the udder, the
No,
cow-
hold on. It doesn't reach the udder. It happens in the udder. That's where milk production
no,
occurs, in the
no,
udder.
no, without digesting food, without absorption in the blood, it can never reach the udder. So it's talking about in a very general terms, right? Before reaching the udder, you have all these absorption coming from blood, you have all these absorption coming from food. After that, all the water, food, and absorption taking place in the blood, then it reaches the udder, right? So it's talking in a very
Okay,
general
can I
term.
respond to that?
Right? Yeah, it's talking in a very general term. You want to apply your understanding, that why didn't he use that language which is acceptable to you, but it is
Can I
talking-
respond to that very
Of
quickly
course,
just before
of
the meeting ends?
Yep.
Can I respond to that? Okay. So with regards to the fact that it gets absorbed into the blood and then eventually gets to the udder, and that's where the milk production happens. According to that logic, I can say that urine production happens in the heart, because you're saying that where there's absorption and eventually it gets, we both know it happens in the kidneys. So according to your logic, because it first must be absorbed, and that absorption and the putting forth of the nutrients is pumped through the heart, according to your logic, I can say that urine production happens in the heart. But of course it doesn't. It happens in the kidneys. In the same way, milk production doesn't happen in the bellies. It happens in the udder. That's where the milk is produced. But this says that it comes from the bellies. It also says it's pleasant to drink, which it is not. So that's two scientific errors in one verse.
and you missed the entire purpose of the verse completely, because what was the first line?
And there is certainly a lesson for you in cattle. And then he proceeds to speak
Yeah.
wrongly biologically.
Yeah, and it's obviously talking about a social lesson, right? Rather than this
Yes,
scientific
But he's using the wrong biology in the lesson. So is Allah lying, or did he just not know?
it's talking in a very general terms, right? It's more
But then why is the
it is
biology wrong?
it is more to do with socially motivating you. That look at God's glory, that how he has created cattle for you, that what they eat from this digestive system such impure, and you get pure milk out of it, which is pleasant for you to drink. This should be a lesson for
But
you.
why is
This
You're
should be a
wrong,
lesson
because
for you.
it's not in the bellies and it's
This-
not pure.
Yeah, the true meaning is this should be a lesson for you to embrace God's glory, that look how he has created all these complex processes even inside a cattle for you, and he has
But
created
then why did he get the process wrong by giving the wrong biological terms?
because you are looking at it from that angle, right? And it's talking
But
about
it's what it says. He speaks directly. And the Quran claims in another surah that it's clear. So basically it says the Quran is clear. But where it clearly says from their bellies, and where it clearly says pleasant to drink, and those both are wrong.
Yeah, I said that's not wrong as well. If you look at it and from a generic point of view, that's not wrong as well. That's my view.
But it is, because it's not from the bellies and it's not pleasant to drink. Both those statements are incorrect biologically.
Prophet Muhammad used a simple language that was acceptable by the entire people. It's still acceptable I can understand it in that way as well. So let's move on with that. You will your
But how's it pleasant to drink? Because it's not pleasant to drink. It's contaminated and you'd get
you
very
are
sick.
you are trying to force 21st.
I'm not forcing, I'm speaking what it says. It says belly and it says pleasant to drink. Both of those are incorrect.
It is
Can I
pure.
give you one more example?
It is pure and it is pure and it is pleasant. If you
No.
ask anybody from the village, a person in the village who has
They
been-
boil the milk first.
who
They
has
boil the milk
no.
first.
If you ask any person in the village who has
This is actually milk, which is
Let
quite
me-
funny.
okay, let me complete. If he has been adapted to that environment where his digestive system has been adapted to that environment, for him that milk is the purest milk. After boiling the milk, actually, do you know about this? If you boil the milk, its essential nutrients gets destroyed, right? So that milk is actually more pure, which the village people drink, and they get accustomed to that environment. That
So it's called
milk is more pure.
pasteurization. It's not boiling. What pasteurization
Even after
is
pasteurization.
hold on, it's an
even
application of a lot of heat in a little amount of time and then
I know
rapidly
that.
cooling.
I know that.
Not necessarily boiling.
I know
However,
about-
the notion that it's pleasant to drink is not true. And if you look, put it this way, go to a
Even
village in
after-
Africa and
even-
see whether or not they actually use some sort of treatment before. And I can guarantee, I'd place my money that they actually do, because pure milk, or beg your pardon, not pure milk, milk that comes from a cow is not pleasant to drink. Can I give you another example, please?
in those times they were accustomed to that, and even in village life they are accustomed to that. Even after pasteurization, many essential nutrients are destroyed. Even after pasteurization, you can read
So
that.
pasteurization happened because of how impure milk is.
No, pasteurization happens because
Because of how contaminated it is, that's what I'd say.
yeah,
Because of how contaminated the milk
That's
directly from the cow is.
that's true.
Pasteurization is because directly from the cow, the milk isn't pleasant to drink.
Because as
Can I please
humanity
give you
evolved,
another example?
yeah, let me just give you an explanation. As humanity evolved, we diseases evolved as well, and as humanity evolved, impurities evolved as well. Impurities in these times are nothing. Impurities in these times are way more significant as before. In those times
There were still
they were not-
impurities in those days.
yeah, but they were
And it was
not
not pure, it was not pleasant.
they were not as significant as they are today. And in those times, if you get accustomed to that environment where one drinks this milk, your body, your immune system gets accustomed to that environment. In today's time, where bacterial resistance has increased, right? You are talking about bovine disease and all those kind of things. Bacterial resistance has increased, so it becomes a norm. That's why all these vaccinations are, every year a new vaccination is added, because diseases are increasing, pollution is increasing. So today's norms are different to that time. And same with
Okay,
village
but
life.
we should still keep in mind that it's not pure, it's still, there were still contaminants. It's not pleasant to drink, and it's definitely not made in the bellies, because
Pure milk,
cows,
pure milk
hold
is
on.
pleasant to drink. How can you
cows,
say it's
yeah,
not
because it's
pleasant?
been pasteurized.
Have you asked any person in the
Cows
village?
from back then, cows today, still made it in the udders, never in the bellies. It was always in the udders. Could you please put up Surah 2, verse 29 for me?
Okay, I think this will never end it like this. We can do this next time if you like.
So then can I just do, can this be the last one? Surah 2, verse 29.
Okay. Because this will not end. I know how many these are. And I wasn't, expecting this.
Could you enable me to share the screen, please?
Yeah, just shortly.
Okay.
I have enabled it.
Okay, and you can see?
Yeah, I know where this will be headed. And yep,
Please read that out loud for me.
it is He, meaning God, who created for you all of that which is on the earth. That He directed, just one person, one God. That He directed
Please.
himself to the heaven. He's being above all creation and made them 7 heavens, and He is knowing of all things. Perfectly.
Okay,
correct.
so you tell me what's wrong with that verse.
Nothing.
Nothing's wrong with that verse.
Yep.
So you think the fact that it says that earth was made first and then all the heavens around it is not an issue?
No, it's not an issue.
So the earth was made first and then all of the space.
It is He who created you. It is He who created for you all of that which is on the earth. Then he directed himself to the, I masked Arab. Do you know about that person, masked Arab? The masked Arab.
Who?
The masked,
Mascarab.
the masked Arab.
Masked Arab. I don't think so.
Yeah, masked Arab.
Don't
He
think so.
I mean, yeah, I refuted him as well on exactly the same verse. And he likes to make these videos as well, masked Arab, about these scientific problems. And not everything has to be in terms of time, right? Which is called a linear.
Can I say something,
This
please?
is
In response to that?
not everything has to be in the sequence of time. This is talking about a logical sequence in terms of how a human being sees the reality or sees the universe. So in logical sequence, the earth, we observe the earth first and then the heavens, right? So this is talking about a logical sequence, not a time-based sequence. So that's the answer to that.
Could I respond to that, please?
Yep.
Okay, I want to say two things. So I'm going to read from it and then I'll explain what I'm saying. It says, "It is he who created for you all of that which is on the earth. Then he directed
What do we observe?
himself to the heaven."
What
Okay,
do
so
we
notice
observe?
hold on, please. Let me please finish. So notice the word then. So he directed
Logical.
himself to the heaven and let me finish, please.
Yep.
He directed himself to the heaven and made them 7 heavens. So Allah did this after making all that was on the earth. So that's the first thing. And scientifically, that's wrong. Second of all, this is making a statement about Allah. It's saying it is he who created for you all of that which is on the earth. So it's giving a description of a past event. Because as you believe, Allah had already made the earth before you and I were having this conversation, before Muhammad was having this conversation. So it's making a statement about Allah, saying that he created all that which is on the earth. Then, meaning next, meaning after, he directed himself to the heaven and made them 7 heavens. But that's incorrect. Also, there are not 7 heavens, but that's a conversation for another time. So he did not make space after he made earth. This is not speaking about what someone on earth sees. It's a declaration about Allah. So what you're doing, from what I've seen in the 3 scientific errors we've discussed, where the Quran speaks clearly and they're all wrong, is what we call the miracle of reinterpretation. It's that you're trying to take the text and instead of reading and believing what it actually says, you're saying something different, because semen doesn't come from between the backbone and the ribs.
And what you people do,
Not made in the bellies.
yeah, and what you people do,
Hold on. Not made in the bellies, and it's not directed towards the heaven afterwards. So this is 3 mistakes.
By the way, doesn't the Bible say that God created the heavens in 6 days? How can there be even a day without first creating the earth and the heavens as well, right? So
it means that it was done in a day in God's perspective.
Okay, so now you don't want to use the scientific language anymore, right? So now it's the miracle of reinterpretation, right? So I can say the same thing. So what about when Muslims?
No, you can't say the same thing, because this is making a direct statement.
So when it comes
all
to
of you
Islam,
which is on earth.
when it comes to Islam, you will only like the most strictly used scientific language. But when it comes to Christianity, you have to be, lenient, and you have to use.
Okay, 2 things. Second of all, okay, 2 things. First of all, with regards to that verse
This is bias.
in
This is bias.
Genesis,
This is bias.
my necessary viewpoint, I'm thinking out for now. What I'm speaking about here is the direct statements that Allah is making personally, or that Muhammad is making about Allah.
I believe this is
All of which are contradicting science.
Yeah,
All of which are contradicting.
this is
Not to mention the thing about history.
This is a logical sequence. We observe the earth first and then the heavens. You are emphasizing.
But it doesn't speak about our sequence. It speaks about a past event. It says it is he who created for you all of which is on the earth. Then he
Heavens is
directed
also the
himself to
past
the
event,
heaven.
right? Creation of heavens is also the past event, right?
Okay, you're breaking up. What did you say?
I said creation of heavens is also the past event, right? Both are past
And it
events.
happened before the creation of the earth.
Both. It's a logical sequence because from a phenomenological
It's the
perspective,
opposite sequence.
from the phenomenological perspective, first person perspective, subjective perspective, you observe
This
the
isn't
earth,
speaking about that though.
You
It's making a
observe-
declaration.
you observe the earth first. A human being, when he observes the entire universe, he observes the earth first and then the heavens, right? So it's talking about a very logical sequence. It's talking about how the man understands the universe, right? So that's how God used this.
No, but it's not at all, because it's Muhammad speaking about Allah. And Muhammad is saying to the people, okay, listen here,
It's
he
Allah
created for you all that's on the earth,
It's Allah.
and he directed himself to the heaven.
Therefore-
So, okay, I mean Muhammad speaking the Quran to people. So it is he created for you all that is on the earth, then he directed himself to the heaven.
you know,
You have acknowledged, like you just said, that's not right scientifically.
I didn't say that. I said that
So
it
you
is-
think that the earth was made before heaven?
it's not talking in terms of scientific language at all. So that's what I'm
Yes,
saying.
it is. It's making
No.
a statement.
It's talking about a logical sequence of events, right?
The logical sequence is that heaven was made first and then the earth, not the other way around.
Logical
Logically
sequence.
and scientifically, it's heaven, then earth. This is saying it's the opposite way around, and that's wrong.
So when you are born as a child, you observe, don't you observe the earth first and then the heavens?
Okay, when I was born as a child, I don't even remember. I knew nothing that was going on.
Your first memory, the first things that you observed in life, wasn't it the earth?
Probably
first?
crushing a banana.
Yeah, the earthly matters, right? All the earthly matters. After that, you thought about astronomy and heavens and stars. These things come later, didn't they? It's talking about the logical
Okay.
sequence. And even
So basically, what you're saying is that if my dad says to me that the earth was created first and then the heavens were created,
Oh,
he's telling the truth.
I'm saying just because God spoke about earth first and then the heavens, there is nothing wrong with that.
No, there is something wrong with that, because the sequence is wrong. You also know, and you also believe that the heavens, the space was created first,
No,
and then earth was created.
no,
So
no.
you
they were-
believe that, don't you?
no, scientifically, that's wrong. How can you? They were created
Oh
simultaneously.
wait, so you believe that the earth was made first and then all of the space
No,
around it?
no, everything was in the singularity according to science.
Yes,
everything,
and then
everything
in
was
the
in the
singularity,
everything.
it expanded into space,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
earth was created.
No,
According
according
to
to according to science, if you look at a sequence of everything was in the singularity, including the earth. The differentiation came on later on, right?
Yeah, differentiation into the earth.
Yeah, that came
And keep in mind, one thing, I want to say something as well. It says that he created for you all of that which is in the earth, which
Yep.
means that according to this statement, before he directed himself to the heaven, all that was in the earth. So not just the undifferentiated mass. This is saying all mountains, the sea,
for
the
God.
trees, everything.
for
But that's not true, because the heavens were made, then trees were, then mountains were. It
For
says
God.
all.
Yeah, for God, time is independent, right? For God, time is so. For God, differentiation and undifferentiation in His predestined knowledge, it's nothing, right? So for God, when there was singularity, according to science, everything was in that singularity, including the earth, including
But it
the,
hadn't been made yet. Trees weren't made yet.
when God is speaking about earth and heavens into seven heavens, right? It's obviously talking about a collective thing, right? And even if you
So
read,
what are seven heavens? There's not seven heavens.
yeah, the Muslim majority view is that the heavens that we observe, the stars and all these galaxies, the entire thing,
Okay.
the entire
The
thing.
most you could ever get is three: the sky, the
no.
space, and God's throne. The most you could ever get is three heavens. Where is seven coming from?
I think you should first read, hear the entire explanation. According to Muslim perspective, everything that you observe in the skies, the stars, and your Hubble telescope, to the galaxies, to the entire thing that we can observe. This is only the first universe, and the second, the first heaven, and the second to seventh heaven. This is ghaib. This is unknown reality. This cannot be known by anything. This is outside the realm of physical realm, right?
Okay.
That's the Muslim view.
And even so, the heavens were still created before all of that which is on the earth. Keep in mind the verse says all of that which was in the earth was created.
I am
The trees
sticking.
were made yet,
I am sticking to that. This is talking about a logical sequence that is independent of time.
but the logical sequence is not that earth was made first, then heaven. The logical sequence is that heaven was made first, then earth.
You are again dwelling
It's
into
also
time.
scientific one.
You are again dwelling into time, right? I said logical sequence independent of time. That's what I said.
Okay,
And-
but you also said that it's speaking about what humans observe, and humans observe time. So which one is it?
Yeah, logically, we observe the earth first, right? And we have our
But then that's in time. We
all-
logically observe things in time. I thought you said that this isn't about time.
isn't
So
logic
which one is it? Are you contradicting yourself?
isn't logic based upon time as well? Yeah, logic, you know, if you will get into these type of things, this will be forever. But if you are to dwell into philosophy, right, most of logics are made upon you know, are timely observations, but they are get transformed into, you know, that are devoid of time. This is another, you know,
By the
another,
way, philosophy is the opinion of men, so it's not really a religious thing. It can be.
all
but
logic is
it's not
based, all
particularly
logic is
science.
based, yeah, all logic is based upon observations. However, they do become independent of time, because when you say A is based upon B and then B is based upon C, so so you can say A is based upon C, right? So this is a
What
sequence.
on earth are you talking about?
If A follows B and B follows C, so therefore A follows C, right? So this is the logical sequence, right? But this can be independent of time as well. Philosophers will argue this, that this can be independent of time. However, all these observations are somewhat made upon time as well. So this is a slippery slope. This will go up into philosophy, and this is another tangent altogether.
I think it can just stay with science. But anyway, it is quite late now, so
Yeah.
maybe we should end this for now.
But I was
But
not